Well, fam, that is a wrap on this video for executive virtual assistants? Which one am I up to now? No, it's not executive. Time tracking. Hey fam, welcome to another video. This one is all about time tracking with your remote team. So this question has come up a lot over the years with me. I've been working with hundreds of virtual assistants over the last 3 years and also with hundreds of clients, and this question comes up. So there's some pros and cons to this. I'm gonna cover everything you need to know, and I'm also gonna tell you my #1 favorite time tracking tool that I use. So before we jump into the juice, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me to help more people like you. We cover all things VAs, scaling with teams, project management tools, that type of thing. So if you're into that, be sure to subscribe. I've worked with hundreds of virtual professionals and used countless time tracking devices and tools online as well. And I've heard from both sides, from both clients and from virtual professionals, their personal thoughts on this. So I'm going to share that with you in this video. So as you'd probably know, the world of virtual assistants and international talent has completely blown up over the last few years, with a lot of businesses coming online now as well. So a good question to really contemplate is, how are you doing remote team management? If you're not in the same country, not in the same office, what's the best way that you can be increasing productivity, increasing staff morale, checking KPIs, and really learning how to manage as a positive and essentially a powerhouse team environment? What does that actually look like? So personally, I am a fan of time tracking, and let me tell you why. When I first started my online business, I wasn't using a time tracker, okay? Because I thought, oh, you know what? I want to build trust with my team. I don't want them to think that I'm helicoptering and micromanaging them. That was my thoughts. And I was like, I really want to start this relationship with quality and trust and transparency. That was my thoughts. A few months later, actually it was probably only a couple of months later, before I started to realize a few things within the business, I was like, started looking to time tracking. It was coming up, and I thought, well, I might actually just have a conversation with my team and see how they feel about this first. And when I had this conversation and I brought it up with my main team members, they actually said to me that they would prefer to use a time tracker because it helps them with their organization and staying on track. And I thought, oh yeah, well shit, okay. One of them was like, yeah, what I would do is just write things down on a piece of paper and try to manage it that way. But it's difficult to do that, right? We're trying to make business and online business more efficient. And so if we're manually writing down time and trying to keep track of things that way, it's not really efficient if you think about it. So once I received that feedback from my team, I was like, okay, cool. That was kind of a permission slip to be like, let's give this time tracking jazz a go. So after that, I did my research, and there's so many different time tracking apps that are available now with the rise of virtual professionals and online business. The one that I love to use the most is called Hubstaff. I will drop a link to that below. It not only tracks the time, but it also tracks the activities. You can set it up to be taking screenshots every minute or every 10 minutes or every 20 minutes. You're able to actually tweak those according to how you would like it. Within that app as well, or that software, you can actually bill clients from there. So if you've got a virtual assistant who's doing hours on your client's projects, then you can bill the client directly from there. And additionally, you can also run payroll on there. So it's a really robust and versatile software, which I love, and I use it within my business as well. And I highly recommend it to anyone else. If you're essentially the HR and the recruiter yourself and you're hiring in-house, then I would recommend using Hubstaff. Now, it is probably slightly more expensive than some of the other apps and softwares that are out there, but it gives you a more detailed view of where that time is going as well. So you can get some more simplified time tracking softwares that merely do just the time, and if that's what you want, then that's going to be perfect for you. But if you want some more details there as well, if you want to be creating projects and to-dos and perhaps looking at screenshots and the activity, then I would recommend Hubstaff. So my company is HR and recruitment, so we need something that's a little bit more sophisticated, because ultimately if we need to investigate anything, we're having any disputes or some challenges that are coming up with productivity or work, and we can actually go back and we can look and we can do an investigation and Hubstaff is what allows us to do that. Whereas if we were to use a more basic time tracker, we wouldn't really have those abilities to backtrack and see where things may have gone a little bit skew with there. So how can time tracking help your virtual professional to be more efficient? This actually benefits both of you. In Hubstaff, for example, when you've got a project, you've got these to-dos that you can add as well. And a to-do might just be, it's like an umbrella that comes under project. So if you've got social media management as the project, under that you might have graphic creation. And then under that you might have video editing. And then under that you might have scheduling content. Okay, under that you might have copywriting or caption creation or reel creation. The possibilities are endless. It comes up to you and what are your business processes at the end of the day. And this is where you get to tweak it and tailor it to your needs. And the great thing that I love about this is you can actually be looking back at those reports and say, cool, where is the most time being spent within my business? I even tested this and used the time tracker myself for a little while to see where I was spending most of my time. And it was quite insightful. I just ran the time tracker for like a couple of weeks to see where I was spending most time. And so it would be like meetings, calendar management, sales calls, writing copy. And so it really gave me a picture of where most of my time is being spent. So this can actually help you as a business owner as well to look back. And if you're spending like all this time in a certain part of the delivery within your business, okay, and that's taking up like 80% of your time, but it's not really like a high leverage task either, that's where you can start to have these little bombs drop in of like, oh cool, like maybe I actually need to get somebody else to help me out with these things here. And vice versa, if your VA or your virtual professional is working on a particular project an absurd amount of time, you might question that and be like, okay, why is so much time going into this? I feel like most of the delivery is supposed to be over here. And then you can kind of get together and work out what's actually happening on the inside here. Because when you are hiring a team and getting people on board, obviously what's going to happen is you might have your workflow and your business processes in order, but that can evolve over time as well. So it's really, really good to look back and just do a bit of an audit every now and then and see, okay, why is so much time being spent over here? Or why is there so little time over here? You know, it gives you an opportunity to look in on the back end and say, cool, walk me through what you're doing here. And there might be something really simple where it's like, oh, okay, I know how to like dial that in a little bit and make that more efficient. Let's start doing this from now on. And that's how you make your business more and more efficient over time. It might even be a matter of them spending too little time on something. And then you look at the thing that they're doing once they enumerate the steps to you, and you can be like, they might be teaching you something as well of like that they've already got it dialed in and more efficient. And so you're like, cool, now I know that I can delegate you a few more things to do within the business, or I can upskill you in this area because you've got that down pat now. So it really paints a picture of the inside of your business when you can look as well where time is being spent. So overall, I would say that time tracking is a really, really valuable tool for both you and your remote team. I believe it benefits you both. And it does this by increasing not only the efficiency, but the transparency as well within the business. It can help in creating a more successful relationship with you and your remote team. And not only that, but it's going to give you some like hard numbers on data collection and where time is being spent so that you can make more informed and better decisions as the business owner. Now, if you still not sure what part of the delivery and the operations you can be outsourcing within your business and delegating to a teammate, then be sure to download my delegation cheat sheet below. That's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs by now and business owners like yourself to get clear on their business processes and know, okay, cool, who should my next hire be? So yep, go ahead and download that and let me know what you think in the comments. So here's a few tips on how to be using a time tracker successfully with your virtual professional as well. So I've mentioned to you, I use Hubstaff. I love Hubstaff. I do advocate for it. Now, if you are using this, you will notice that it gives you activity tracking as well. So you've got the time tracking component, right? Which is pretty self-explanatory. It's counting the time when they click play and the time is being counted, they click stop, whatever. But then you've also got activity tracking. Now, the activity percentage is based on how many keyboard strokes or how much mouse movement is being used by this individual whilst they're tracking the time. Now, I say this with love. Don't look at the activity tracking tracking or the activity percentage and become really, really pissed off all of a sudden when you see that it's like 20 or 30% and be like, you should be in like, you know, close to 100% in the activity percentage, because what it comes down to is the role that the person is doing as well. I've got some of my most loyal and best teammates that hit like 30% on average, maybe 40% on average, and then other people are doing 90 to 95%. So it really depends on the role. So you can think of like a web developer or a coder. They do spend some time, or even accounting, and bookkeeping, they spend some time actually doing like a lot of reading and like working out numbers. And so there's not always like a large amount of activity that's happening within those tasks. So that's just something to keep in mind, okay, if you are deciding to use Hubstaff or another one that does activity percentage. Just don't get too caught up on that. I actually don't pay much attention to that at all. Okay, the second tip here is I would highly recommend that if you are using a time tracker with your team member, to have a meeting about it and to actually get really, really clear on the things that you want to have tracked. Don't just say, cool, yep, yeah, just log into the tracker and do your thing. I would actually recommend sit down with them and say, cool, like this is the main role and these are like the workflows and the processes under that role, and get really, really clear on what are the main tasks that they're doing within that role, so that it can reflect in the time tracking report as well. And it's going to give you a more accurate representation of where the time is going, rather than just winging it and leaving it up to them. It's all about making sure that you're on the same page and setting those expectations from the get-go. And tip number 3 here is, if you're considering a time tracker and you're using a time tracker, don't micromanage this. I've worked with clients who check the time tracking report religiously to the point where it really is hyper micromanagement, and they're looking at every single minute and exactly where that minute is being spent, and it's overcompensating. And it's also really not creating a trusting and transparent relationship with your teammates, because they're just going to think that you're like over them all the time, breathing down their neck, checking their every move. It's not a nice feeling. Like, that's not creating a nice, warming, positive, culture-filled relationship. Ultimately, for any long-term relationship, whether it's with your clients or whether it's with your teammates, this is all built on trust. And so if your VA or your virtual professional or your team feels like you are constantly breathing down their neck, they're eventually going to leave. And I've seen this happen time and time again. It's not a nice position to be in, because what it does is it really creates a disparity between the two of you, and it becomes like this, it's kind of like a power struggle. So you're over here being demanding and micromanaging and checking everything with like a fine little toothpick there, and they're not feeling like valued or trusted or like seen within the organization. And so eventually that's going to result in high turnover of staff. I've seen this happen time and time again. And if they're doing their job and they're doing it well, you can be like checking that they are meeting their KPIs and deadlines through weekly meetings or fortnightly meetings with them, and maybe like overseeing the time tracking if you want, but don't let that just like make all the decisions within your business. That can be used as like a minuscule tool to reflect the work that your teammates are doing, but it's not the be all and end all. So just remember that these people that are working within your team are humans as well, and so yeah, treat them like they're humans. And when you come from that kind-hearted space as well, you'll find these people really love working for you, which will result in long-term partnership and relationship, which will result in less turnover of staff and save you a lot of money in the long run. So it's actually a really smart business idea to be kind and understanding and empathetic and reasonable within your business, and you'll find that your staff will really love working for you and stick around for a long time. The staff that I hired when I first started this 3 years ago are all still with me now, and I've maybe been a little bit too flexy and lenient, but I'm definitely still stern and clear with my expectations and what I want within the business as well. So it's a really beautiful, respectful relationship. So that's my piece there on the whole micromanagement. Okay fam, that's a wrap on this video about time tracking with your remote team. I recommend to go check out these 2 videos, some virtual assistant red flags to watch out for, and also this one on employees versus hiring virtual assistants. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you sticking around and watching my content. And if this can help someone that you know, then please feel free to share this video with them. And if you've got any recommendations on what you would like me to talk about and bring to the table as well, just let me know in the comments and I'll reply there and make a video out of it. Thank you. See ya.